and welcome to the VendorDome. So we're all really happy to be here. I've participated in a few of these VendorDome events in the past, and it's a really great opportunity to interact with some subject matter experts, learn about trends in the industry, and just get your questions answered. So I'm hoping we can have a really great discussion today. We have a really great panel of experts with us. Across the panel, we have coverage really across the spectrum of concerns that arise in modern software development processes. So we've got coverage of first-party code, static analysis of code, the code that you and your developers are writing. We have people here to talk about third-party code, that open source code that you bring in and forms the foundation of so many of our applications. And we have expertise in infrastructure as code. So the infrastructure descriptions that live in the code base define really the operational context of your applications, and then container scanning, which provides visibility into that end product as it's deployed. So we're going to go around and do some introductions. And while we do this, please put questions in Slack about any of these topics, first-party code, third-party code, infrastructure as code, container scanning, anything you're wondering about, with regard to trends in the industry, what you can do in your environment, things you're seeing, questions you have about best practices, throw those in the chat. Those will be the main points of discussion. I have some discussion points with me, but it's much better if it's an interactive session driven by all of you. So go ahead and do that. I'll start with myself. I'm Stephen Mcgill, former co-founder and CEO of MuseDev, which you might remember from previous DevOps summits. We've been participating in these events for a while. I really love the community here. MuseDev was acquired by Sonatype in March, so I'm now VP of Product Innovation at Sonatype, and working on integrating those Muse technologies into Sonatype's products. So stay tuned for more news about that soon. My background is in static analysis. That's what Muse focuses on. That's what I did my PhD work in. And I'm particularly interested in how we can make static analysis tools less painful and more useful to developers, and just make them a smooth, low friction part of the development process. That's been my focus for a while. So now I'll turn it over to Brian Fox, co-founder and CTO of Sonatype, to give an introduction.
Hi, I'm Brian, as Stephen said, co-founder and CTO at Sonatype. I have a long background in open source development, involved in a lot of projects at Apache, including the Maven, Apache Maven Java build system. And also we at Sonatype have been the stewards of the Maven Central Repository for a long time. And so we've kind of had a long view on how open source dependencies have evolved and how the usage of that has evolved and grown, and more recently how some of the software supply chain attacks have been unfolding. That's a topic I've been speaking about now for about 4 years. And I think with the unfortunate rise of SolarWinds and CodeCov and everything else that's going on, it's finally getting attention, which is both good and bad. It's bad how it came about, good that it's getting attention.
Great, thank you. And then we have Josh Stella, CEO and co-founder of Fugue.
Hi, everyone. Great to be here. So, yeah, my background's a little different. I've spent my career kind of in and out of the national security kinds of environments in the DC area here. At Fugue, we do security for cloud deployments and cloud-based systems, starting with infrastructure as code, static analysis, all the way through analysis of the running environments for misconfiguration errors and so on. I've spent about 30 years of my life as a software developer and software architect. Prior to founding Fugue, was a principal solutions architect. I think I was the third or fourth solutions architect in the public sector practice at AWS. I may be wrong, but really early days there. Focused there on national security, DoD, et cetera, IC kind of environments, and have spent the last 7 years just purely working on this new software definable infrastructure we have in cloud and security concerns around it and correctness concerns around it.
Great, thank you. And then Tracy Walker, Senior Solution Architect at Neuvector.
Hi, everyone. Tracy Walker with Neuvector, Solution Architect. About 25 years in software industry as a developer and operations consulting. Here at Neuvector, we're very focused on container security, full lifecycle container security, both from a scanning perspective as well as running environments in Kubernetes and able to see network traffic and identify threats and really become a security plane within your Kubernetes deployments.
Great. Thank you. Thank you all. So the first question I have is, with modern supply chains, including tens or hundreds of dependencies, code bases growing in size, infrastructure is becoming more complex, containers pull in even more third-party software. So it's great that we have all of you here today to speak to all of these. But with all of this going on, it can be hard to know where to even look for vulnerabilities. Or if you flip that around, what can you trust? Where do you start? So the question for each of you is, where do you start when you think about security in your domain? And is there any root of trust we can click to? Maybe starting with you, Josh.
Oh, sure. I'm not a big believer in trusting without verification. Sorry, my dog is back here shaking his head around. If you're hearing,
he doesn't believe in that either.
That's right. So I think that you really need to fully understand what is actually going to get deployed, and our focus primarily is on infrastructure as code and cloud infrastructure. When you think about how the world has changed from the data center to the cloud, in the data center days, the infrastructure was relatively static and you would deploy applications to it. In the cloud, at least done well, the applications drive the infrastructure and often in real time. So there's this constant